Hello guys, welcome to the knowledge domain, the concept of life sciences and biotechnology. In this lecture, we are going to learn signaling, importance of receptors, their ligands, including mitogen and the second messengers, the signaling molecules. Individual cells, like multicellular organisms, sense and responds to the environment, like the yeast cell secrete the mating factors. This is recognized by the opposite sex and stops division and approach to the mating factor secreting its cells. Similarly, in embryology, how the cells get the specialized role, which positions they need to occupy, and whether they need to survive, divide, or die. These all are determined by how they receive the signals from the environment and how they respond to these signals. In this lecture, we are going to get a general principle of the signaling. Informations are received by the cells in a variety of forms, and that has to be interpreted, and the message has to be delivered to the intracellular substances, like the potential energy of the water is harvested in the hydroelectric projects, and that is converted into the electrical energy in our home, that is reconverted to the kinetic energy, and in that the fan motor moves. Similarly, the radio signal received by the television, it is converted into the audio visual signal. Similarly, the process of conversion of the signal received by the cell into the intracellular signaling is called the signal transductions. The cells produces signals into the environment called the extracellular signals, and is detected by the receptors of the target cells. So in multicellular organisms, the one cell, it can be a secretory cells as well as it can be a target cells. So the proteins, peptides, amino acids, nucleotides, steroids, fatty acid derivatives, or the dissolved oxygens are the signals that is secreted by the cells. Depending on where the signal acts and where it is secreted, it is of the following four types, like the endocrine. The signal is secreted by the endocrine cells, that is delivered into the blood or the plasma, and it travels a long distance and reaches to the target cells. Like it is a public system of broadcasting something through the social networking sites, through the television, all India radio. This type of the information that is public means it is present in the blood and it reaches each and every cells of the individual. Next is the paracrine. So when the signal, extracellular signal is secreted and it is acted in the vicinity, then it is called the paracrine signal. Like some newspaper is publishing something in the local languages, so it is not becoming public to the entire world. So it is very localized. That type of signal is paracrine. Then the synaptic signal. So it is also travels. The signal originated in the central nervous system, and it is traveling to a far distance to act on the target cells, or a signal that is received by the sensory organs, that is through the nerve fibers, it is being transmitted to the brain. So it is through a specialized type of the systems, like we are calling to a hour long means relatives through a phone. So it is encrypted and it is only point to point contact. That type of the transmission of the signaling is the synaptic transmission of the signal. And then next is a contact dependent, like the adhesion molecule. They are like face-to-face recognition. or the face-to-face talk. So in this case, the receptors and the signal generated are very close. Like the addition molecules also, the two cells they interact with the addition molecules. So this is type of the contact dependent. So it signals when a cell is present in a multicellular organism, it receives a variety of the signals, but it will act only to those signals for which the receptors is present in the cells. Similarly, one signal it is having different response depending on which type of cells it is going and instructing the cells to behave. So like in the heart cells, heart pacemaker cells, the acetylcholine, it decreases the rate of firing. In case of the salivary gland, it is the same acetylcholine that results in the secretion. And in case of the muscles, it is the same signal, the acetylcholine that results in the contraction. So the signaling molecule is same, but depending on which cells it is going and acting, the responses are different. Then when a signal is received and it is acted or it is transmitted by the proteins already present in the cytoplasm, because the protein that will act on the signals are already there, the response is very fast. It is between the under the minutes, second to the minutes. But when the signal will go and act on the genomic level, that will result in the transcription followed by the translation. After that, the cell will respond to the signal. This is slow. It lasts from the minutes to hours. So where the receptors are located? We have already discussed in the plasma membrane that all the molecules they cannot cross the plasma membrane. So the hydrophobic molecules, so the very small molecules they can cross, and the remaining all large molecules and the polar molecules they cannot cross the plasma membrane. So for those type of signals, there is a receptor present on the membrane, and there are signals like the hydrophobic molecules or the very small molecules. They cross the plasma membrane and goes and bind to the receptor present inside the nucleus or inside the cytoplasm. They are the intracellular receptors. So cortisol is an example where it is hydrophobic. It crosses the plasma membrane and goes and binds directly at the DNA level, and it leads to the transcription of the genes. There are some molecules like the nitric oxide, which is very small molecules, and it does not need any receptor. So they can also cross the plasma membrane and results in an effect like the vasorelaxation. Material is secreted by the endothelium and result in the vasorelaxation. This is a simple schematic of how the signaling system is working. So the cell has a receptor. So this ligand or the extracellular signal that cannot cross the plasma membrane. So it will go and bind to the receptor present in the plasma membrane. Then this message is delivered into the cytoplasm and it will result in the relay of the information. The information can be amplified. And if there are the multiple receptors and it is receiving the multiple signals, then their intracellular signaling will have the multiple branches here. They have to be integrated to get a definitive response. And the signal that is received here that can be distributed like metabolic enzymes to alter the metabolism, cytoskeleton to alter the cell shape or the movement, and transcription regulators like to alter the gene expressions. In case of the living organism, most of the responses they exhibit the feedback regulation. Like it can be positive feedback, it can be negative. And the intracellular molecules or the second messenger, they can show the molecular switch off and on type of behavior. Like in this case, this is an example where the ATP is phosphorylating this molecular switch, and when it is phosphorylated, this is the on, and by the protein phosphatase, it is dephosphorylated, it is off. Similarly, in this situation, the GDP, when it is molecular switch is interacted with the GDP, it is the switch off. And when this GDP is replaced with the GDP, this is the switch on. And this GDP is hydrolyzed into the GDP to become the switch off. Next is the receptors and its categories. So there are three major categories of the receptors. One is the ion channels. It can be a voltage gated ion channels or the ligand gated ion channels. Then enzyme coupled receptors, that means the cytoplasmic end of this transmembrane protein can be a kinase, like the receptor tyrosine kinase lead, receptor tyrosine kinase, receptor serine threonine kinase. So the transmembrane protein itself is a kinase activity at the cytoplasmic end, or there is a receptor with no intrinsic enzyme, and this receptor can be associated with another enzyme in the cytoplasmic end, which is having the kinase activity, or it is having the enzyme activity. And the third major category is the GPCR. Depending on its character, that there are 7 transmembrane helices, it is also called the serpentine receptors. And there are almost 700 type of the GPCR receptors, G protein coupled receptors in case of the mammals. And these three broad categories can be divided into the 16 in the membrane, like the 2 in the ion channel, and there is 1 the cytoplasmic steroid receptors. So including it, it is the 7. And these gathering we have already discussed. It is involved in the cell anchoring. So next is we will focus on the G protein coupled receptor. So this we know it is a serpentine receptors. And there are the primary G proteins, which is a molecular switch. When it is associated with the GDP, it is switched off. So when there is a signal, it is binding to the extracellular site of the GPCR. There is a conformation change here, and it will recruit this primary means G proteins, and the GDP will be replaced by the GTP, and that will result in the switch on. And there is a separation of the beta gamma sub unit, and this is the active state. And there are almost 20 types of the G proteins, that 2 of the varieties we will discuss now. So when the this is the cytoplasmic and it is the active, the G protein, then it can lead to the activity of the adenyl cyclase that will result in the cyclic AMP that will lead to the activity of the protein kinase A. Similarly, the inositol triphosphate, it will lead to the release of the calcium from the endoplasmic reticulum as well as activity of the calmodulin. So the calcium calmodulin complex will activate the protein kinase C, and there is a direct activity of the phospholipase chains. So there is an example of the cholera toxin. So cholera toxin will go and bind to this trimeric G protein. Its name is the GS. This alpha subunit is known as the GS. So in that GS, as per the stimulator, in the GS, the GTP will not be removed from the alpha subunit or the GS. So it is a constitutive expression. When there is a constitutive expression, there is a constitutive formation of the cyclic AMP, the second messenger. So this will lead to the efflux of the chloride into the extracellular environment. That will lead to the diarrhea and the dehydration, and it may in some instances lead to the death. Similarly, there is another type of the G protein, the alpha subunit, that is called the GI. In that case, the GDP, it will dephosphorylate the GDP into the GDP, so that it is always inactive, and there is no activity of the cyclic AMP. So there is very less cyclic AMP, and this pertussis toxin that is leading to the inactive state of the G protein coupled receptor will result in the activity like the coughing. So this is alpha beta gamma. This is the normal classical way of the downstream signaling of the GPCR. And when there is the GS type of alpha subunit, there is a constitutive expression, And when there is the GI type of the alpha unit, these do not active. This is the another type of the receptor, the enzyme linked receptor. In this case, the plasma membrane, the transmembrane has a homodimer. It can be heterodimer also. So when it is monomer, not in the dimer formation, it is active. When the ligand it binds to this receptor tyrosine kinase, it dimerizes and there is the activity of it, and this is the switch on activity. And because of this, there is a phosphorylation here, and there is a recruitment of the various proteins in the cytosolic end of this molecule, receptor tyrosine kinase. And it will lead to the series of the MAP kinase signal transduction molecule activity in a sequential way, having the response like the change in the protein activity and the change in the gene expression. That will be discussed in the following slide in slightly more details. So plant-like animals, enzyme-coupled cell surface receptors to extracellular signal molecules control their growth and development. These receptors often act by relieving the transcription repression of the specific genes. So coming to the classical signal transduction pathways of the MAP kinase signaling. This is a genetic cascade where one kinase phosphorylate another set of kinase, then it phosphorylate another set of kinase, and finally there is a biological response. So this is a growth factor of the mitogen. These are the initial G proteins, which are monomeric G protein like the RAS, RAF. Then it will lead to the MAC1 and 2 and ORF1 and 2 signaling. It has the growth, survival, differentiation, and development type of the biological response. When it is trace or the GPCR agonist, inflammatory cytokines or the growth factors, there are two types of the signaling. One is by the MKK 4 and 7, another by the MKK 3 and 6. In this, the final molecule is the JNJ1, 2, or 3. In this case, it is the P38 MAPK. So this will lead to the growth and differentiation along with the inflammation and the apoptosis. And the fourth category is the stress growth factor mitogen GPCR agonist. It will lead to the OR5 activity. That also growth differentiation with the development. So coming to, because we have already discussed the cell cycle and the importance of the mitogen, so this will be specifically, we will focus on the mitogen, which are almost 50 types of the mitogens are till now reported. Platelet-derived growth factor led to the entry of the cell cycle in case of the wound healing, that is already discussed. And the other three examples of the epidermal growth factors, erythropoietin, which is specific to the proliferation of the RBC, is only insulin-like growth factors. So when a mitogen is binding to the receptors present on the plasma membrane, the RAS, it is a monomeric G protein, it will lead to the series of the MAP kinase signaling, and it will lead to the MYC gene expression. MYC we all already discussed, it is oncogene, and it will facilitate the G1 progression. So the MYC will lead to the cyclin D expression, and this cyclin D lead to the cyclin D, CDK4 lead receptor. This is the retinoblastoma phosphorylation. When it is phosphorylated, it will release from the E2F element of the DNA and lead to the transcriptions of the molecule responsible for the synthesis phase of the cell cycle. Then this is the stem cell factor subunit gene. They will be expressed, and that will lead to the P27 degradation. And this also lead to the retinoblastoma phosphorylation to release it from the E2F site, so that E2F element will be operational or it will be active. And the E2F gene finally here the synthesis will be increased, and finally the cell will ready itself to enter into the express. So when the MYC is synthesized in very excess amount, then the protein 19 APC, this will bind to the MDM2, which is the oncogene that suppresses the tumor suppressor P53, it will be released. And so the tumor suppressor P53 will be active, and there will be the inhibition of the cell cycle stage. So we have already discussed that the replication, DNA replication, it initiates in the early G1, then it means stretched into the S phase, and finally the replications of the DNA means it completed in the S phase. So in case of the eukaryote, there are thousands of the origin of the replication. So this is the origin recognition complex site. So this is the CDC6. So what is the role of the P53 here? So P53, it inhibits the CDK2 and it creates a origin silencing checkpoints. The role of this origin silencing checkpoint is to let the origin recognition complex to recruit MCM, the DNA helicase, enough to sufficient MCF loading before the initiation of the S phase. So what is the functions of ensuring sufficient MCF loading? Because the cells block MCM loading outside the G1 phase, it cannot be done when the G1 stage is over. And if it is not enough, then it will lead to the genome instability, that is result of the re-replication. So to avoid these types of problems, the P53 origin silencing checkpoint ensures sufficient MCM helicase loading for a standard or a optimum level of the synthesis or the DNA replication in the means SPH. So this is a small summary of the importance of the mitogen and the complexes that facilitate the mitogen to continue to let the G1 phase to proceed in the normal way. So this is an example where the serum starved AP4 deficient mouse embryo fibroblast. So when the AP4 is deficient, it is unable to resume proliferation. So there is a delayed S phase entry after restimulation of tetraploid formation due to the cytokinesis effect. So when there is a rescue or there is a facilitation of the AP4 estrogen receptor fusion protein is means allowed inside the cells at the EBOX motif sites. Then through the CDK2 methodology, the human diploid fibroblast proliferation happens. That means this CMYC that is letting the G1 phase to proceed by inhibiting the protein 21 that is mediated through the AP4. So this is a complex of the mitogen that is responsible for the cyclin D, CD4, 6, let the progress of the G1 phase. So when any component of this mitogen led G1 progression is absent, then it cannot continue and it enters the G1 arrest. So when this component is supplied to the cell, they re-enter the cell cycle, and depending on the situation, either it will proceed the cell cycle for the division of the cells or it will undergo the apoptosis. Another example is we all know that knobs are the terminally differentiated, but this is a mitogen knob growth factor, and through the P38 MAPK MAP kinase pathway that already we discussed as a general principle, through that pathway, it will facilitate the re-entry of the cell cycle in case of the neurons. In case of the diseases like the Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and the amyotrophic lateral sclerosis and brain injury, when they re-enter the cell cycle, then instead of division, the cell decide to go for the apoptosis, and there is a cell death. So the conclusion of this slide is that if there is enough understanding of the various components of the any type of cells, that means what are the mitogens, what are the complexes, that means we have the tools that we can re-enter that cells into the cell cycle stage, and this can be very useful in treatment of the various diseases. Thank you.